This is CineBack in particular for the X-H2S from Fujifilm, but it works with several different cameras. And this piece right here and this piece is our new product, and it is called the Accessory Mounting Kit. It comes with a ton of different parts to be able to rig up all kinds of different custom setups for your cinema camera rig, whether that be stripped down or built up into something like this. In short, it is a quick release system to be able to add cheese plates all around CineBack while still having access to the D-tap connections underneath, as well as being able to customize where exactly you want your cheese plates. So you can mount really anything to these multiple devices on either side. For example, here is a transmitter mounted to it. I can simply drop it down in place, lock it, and head out and shoot. Tons of room all the way around it for mounting all kinds of different cable management solutions, other accessories like timecode boxes and audio receivers. And when it's time to break down the rig, I can simply remove it just like that and throw it in a bag. Check the links in the description or on this product page for more information, and let's dive right in. So here's a quick look at what comes in the kit. We have 2 rod clamps, two small 15mm rods, a cheese plate, 2 Allen keys, 2 double-sided male 1/4 20 threads, and a ton of screws and 1 3/8 2 1/4 20 adapter. This can be used so many different ways with CineBack or really any video gear to rig just about anything up, as we'll see in this video. This is the Panasonic Lumix S5 2X rigged up in CineBack as an example for this accessory kit. So let's go ahead and talk about a couple different configurations. The first thing I'm going to do is set the camera off to the side, and I'm going to grab one of our rod clamps, and we're going to remove these 2 knobs. Now, this isn't necessary, but it does clean things up, as you'll see here in a second. With those removed, I'm going to grab 2 of these small black screws that fit inside of those threads, and I will just hand tighten them on the ends for now. Next, I'll grab 2 of the longer pan screws, and I'm going to thread them through these 2 holes on the rod clamp and install them on CineBack. So I've got the screws run through the rod clamp, and now I'm going to install it right along the top side of the cheese plate here on CineBack. You could also attach it here on the top using 2 shorter screws like these, and those would go through the top of the rod clamp if you wanted to install it like that instead of like that. And there it is installed on CineBack. Now you could do it like this where it's nice and flush with the top plate, or you could flip it the other direction so it doesn't block your accessory door on the side if you have a CineBack with an accessory door. So 2 options there. You can go flush like this or flip it over like this. You can still have access to most CineBack's side doors. Next, we can take the 2 smaller 15mm rods, and we'll go ahead and insert them into the rod clamp, and I'll tighten up those 2 outside screws. And now we have our 2 rods set up on the side of CineBack. This is going to allow us to build a quick releasing cheese plate for all kinds of cool accessories to build this thing out into a much more cinema style build using transmitters and whatnot. So we're going to set this aside and start working on the cheese plate. I'm going to grab another 15mm rod block, and these 2 thicker black screws. We'll also need the thickest of the Allen keys that are included with the kit. Insert the 2 screws into this slot at the top of the cheese plate and screw into the side of the clamp. And now we have something like this, a really simple quick release system with a cheese plate. We'll bring our camera back in, and now we can essentially slot that on the side, lock it in place using the knobs, and now we can add all kinds of stuff to the side of CineBack. And I can also reconfigure this. If I want this to be lower, I can do that simply by reversing that plate. So now it is facing away from the 15mm rod clamp, so just another way to mount it. But now we have this huge area that we can mount all kinds of different stuff to and still be able to access our D-taps on CineBack. And if we need to break the whole thing down or have even more access, we can simply loosen and remove it completely with accessories attached. And of course, we can also mount it up high. So if you wanted to use a wireless transmitter, you could do something like this if you wanted to. Speaking of a transmitter, here I have one mounted to our cheese plate, and all I have to do to attach it is simply slot it down and lock it in place. That's one setup with it on the side, nice, compact, easy to rig up, tons of room for all of my cables, can still have access, and if I need to remove it or break down the rig to put it away for the end of the day, It's really that simple. I can also rotate it if I wanted to mount it in a higher position, and there's still plenty of room on this thing for a top handle. So now I have access to my grip, lots of room on top for all kinds of different accessories. So just a really great way to modify and customize your setup. Another option is to take one of the rod blocks and install it with the knobs, and then we can use the cheese plate and two rods in a horizontal position that you'll see in a second. I'm going to attach the rod block with two of the long silver screws like you see right here. Now I'm going to take our two small rods and I'll insert them and tighten them in place. With that done, we can take our cheese plate and the two small black screws and install it like you see here. There are two slots that line up with those two rods, and we have a little bit of adjustment as to where we want to land that plate. I'll go ahead and thread one in place and then the other, and I'll tighten up those two screws. And just like that, we have a plate up here mounted and running along the side. It's out of the way of the grip of the camera. It also keeps our D-tabs completely open here, so we have a lot of flexibility, and there are some threads now on the back. We can mount stuff on the inside, a lot of flexibility, and at any point we can simply loosen those two knobs, take the whole thing off with whatever accessories we had mounted, and put it away or install it very quickly. If you wanted your rod clamp to be more in the middle instead of on the top, on one of those many positions that you can mount it, we can actually mount it in the middle by using a 1/4 inch to 3 inch adapter, which is also included in the kit. So I can choose either of these 3/8 on either side of this smaller slot. I'll choose this one right here, and I'll go ahead and thread that in place. Now I can take my rod clamp, put it underneath, and we're going to thread into the rod clamp from this side and then through the other side of the rod clamp on this side. And here's what that looks like. So we've got the black screw going through that slot into this hole on the rod clamp, and then a silver screw going through the rod clamp into our 1/4 20 adapter. And now we can set this thing right here, lock it in place, and now we have kind of a different configuration with a kind of hybrid where it's a little higher up, a little more out of our way, but not super up in the heavens, as it were. And then as before, if we need to remove it, we simply loosen it, throw it in our bag, and we're good to go. Let's say you want to mount this side plate somewhere not very traditional, maybe right here where it's kind of a tight area and there's really not quite enough room for the quick release rod setup. We can go ahead and use our two 1/4 20 to 1/4 20 male adapters, as you'll see here in a second. I'm going to take our short 15mm rod and add one of these male to male 1/4 20 threads, snug it up, and I'll do that one more time. With those done, we can go ahead and install them on CineBack or really anything. So I'm going to go ahead and thread one in right here, and I'll take another one and put it pretty close to that one right here. So now we have those two rods nice and tightly put together, and that's not the right spacing for 15mm. But we can go ahead and grab this plate, and using that sliding slot, we can install it here. And now we have a side-mounted cheese plate all the way off to the side. Not very traditional, but hey, if you wanted to do that, you totally could using this kit and being able to mount these things all over CineBack, which just makes it a really flexible system. Last but definitely not least, you could, using this system and this cheese plate, create a vertical camera or cinema camera. So if I flip things onto the side, here's the grip of the camera. I have added this cheese plate, and I have a ton of room to mount a quick release plate to this thing, and then I can mount it onto a tripod, and that takes the whole camera and flips it sideways. So now on the side of the camera, here's the display, I can add a handle, I can rotate my lens as you see here, and now I have a cinema camera that is vertical, which is really fun using this kit. This kit also works great for other configurations that don't involve CineBack. For example, here I have built, using the accessory mounting kit, a little module that could go on the back of the camera. So we have that cheese plate here in the center, we've got the rod clamp down at the bottom, we have a battery plate here on one side, and our Cine dock on the other. So if you're using a camera that can accept SSD recording, this whole module could slide right behind your camera. You could plug it in and have an easy way to add and remove SSD media while also powering it with a V-mount battery. So just another way in another configuration without CineBack. So that is the accessory mounting kit, which is available for CineBack, but it works with all kinds of different gear. So every single piece of this kit can be used for really any rig. It doesn't have to be just for CineBack. So check camerafoundry.com for more information on the kit, as well as pricing information, and we'll keep you up to date on other kits we may release in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next product video.